In this video, I'm going to break down how living abroad can help you make it in the USA faster than you stayed in the USA. So when a lot of guys think that I'm talking about living abroad, they think that's permanent, that's it. No coming back to the US, no success in the US. I just got to live on the cheap abroad for the rest of my life. And that's not the case at all, because this is personally my plan. If you cut your costs and live abroad, you'll actually be able to afford a nicer lifestyle in the US quicker because you have more excess income and you have the ability to put it into investments and then finally leverage that wealth to buy a home, start a family, do whatever you need to in the US because you've been location independent. So let me break it down in the video here. So here's you, okay? You're doing your life in the US as a guy, woohoo. Let's say you have a standard job. You make $4,000 a month after taxes. So your salary is about maybe $60K-ish after taxes. You're making about $4,000 a month, okay? Let's add up all your various expenses. Let's say you have an apartment by yourself and you pay $2,000 per month. That's pretty average at this point, whether it's renting a house, apartment, whatever. If you're living in any major urban center, I think that's many people can resonate with that. $2,000 a month seems like a pretty reasonable value there. Let's add up all our other expenses here. Well, you gotta have a car, right? You live in the US, so you gotta have a car. Let's be really conservative here. Let's say you have a $350 a month car payment. Okay, you're driving a Beat or whatever, you're not driving something nice, that's your lease. And we're gonna tack on, we've got $100 of your insurance per month. Now this is pretty cheap, I think, but just to prove the point, I'm going to keep the numbers fairly conservative. And you spend, depending on where you are in the country, let's say you spend about, $150 a month on gasoline. Okay, so we've got our rent, we've got our car payment. What other things are necessary? Well, we've got our phone, internet, streaming services, things related to that. Let's just be on the conservative side and say, all that stuff's about $150 a month. Maybe you've got a cheap cord cutting plan. Your phone plan is pretty cheap. You're living on the cheap here in the US right now, okay? And then when I get to the abroad part, you're gonna see how your life can totally change. Okay, so that's your phone. So we've got the rent, we've got the rent, we've got car, and we've got, internet plus phone. Okay, excellent. What's next? Well, food. You got to eat to live, okay? So let's say you spend $200 a month on groceries. Pretty easy to do that if you want to eat well in the US. And you're not a complete hermit. You go out with friends, you do stuff, you go out to eat a few weeks, you spend 20 or $30. That adds up. That's about also, you go to the bar with your buds, it's $200 a month as well. Okay, really easy to do that. That's your food costs. Next, we're going to talk about dating. So let's say you go on one date a week, you pay for it, you spend, come on guys, we're not cheaping out here, probably spend $50 a date. That's probably low end for activities plus food. Okay, I'm being really conservative here, $200 a month. Probably pretty easy at that point. Next, you got like $200 of miscellaneous stuff, clothes, repairs, something goes wrong, somebody's birthday party, whatever, okay? Let's start adding this up here real quick. So we got the 2,000 plus the 500, that's 600, that's 2,600, 2,750. We got the 400 there, so that's 3,150, 3,150 plus 400. We've got $3,550 so far, okay? And I was pretty conservative. Now, some low-cost area of the country, these costs might be lower, and your salary might be lower in that case. And then in some high-cost areas of the country, urban centers, Seattle, LA, New York, Dallas, Houston, okay, that's going to be more expensive. We got about our cost about $3,550 per month. Well, let's subtract that from our salary. That gives us $450. And I'm going to round up again, and I'm going to say that we're saving $500 at best with this lifestyle per month, which means we're saving about $6,000 per year. Wow, I'm $6,000 in the green every year. That's crazy. Let's say your dream home, because you want to have a home, you want to have a wife, you want to have family, you want to have a traditional existence that was accepted 20, 30, 40 years ago. Okay, just like a normal person. It's normal to want that. Okay, so here's our $6,000. Okay, let's say you want a home. Let's go on the low end again. Let's say you want a $400,000 home, because that's kind of like what the median is staying at here. You want a $400,000 home. You need a 10% down payment, bucko. And I didn't even factor in student loans into this, okay, guys? So keep that in mind. $400,000, you need a 10% down payment. So you need 40 grand. 40 grand divided by 6 grand. That's going to take about roughly 6.5 years, okay? This is going to take you about 6.5 years just to get to 40 grand in savings. Nothing bad happened. You didn't have to move. You didn't lose your job. Everything was perfect. And you can now afford to put forward this 10% down payment and then probably pay more in your mortgage now than what you were paying in rent, and pay for utilities and repairs of the house. But if you're doing well and everything goes according to plan, it'll take about 7 years of working like that. And then maybe you'll get to that 10% to put down for the down payment for a mid-level starter home. Not even your dream home, but a mid-level starter home. Okay, not bad. Let's say it takes 7 years. Now let's give you the route. I'm gonna erase this here. If you live abroad, and this is where it gets really, really interesting, because when you start living abroad, you start being location independent with your work, things just take off for you. Things multiply, okay? So here's you again, okay? And you've got a hat now. Because you're living abroad and it's sunny. You live on the beach. It's awesome. You now work remotely because you're living abroad, let's just say part-time. Let's say full-time, you're living abroad, okay? So you have a different job, you took a pay cut, whatever. You only make $3,000 a month now after taxes. Oh man, pay cut. We're never going to reach that level of savings, okay? $3,000 a month. Now let's start adding up our various costs, depending on where you live abroad, okay? But kind of the round number in a lot of places, I've done a lot of research, I've lived a lot of places, okay? $1,000 a month gets you a really nice apartment in the big urban centers in Latin America, okay? Like, you're living very, very nice. And that's if you get it on Airbnb. If you go after Airbnb and you like negotiate with the renters, you could get this down to like, you know, because Airbnb takes fees, you can get this down to like $600-700 a month. We're talking multiple bedrooms, amazing neighborhood, great views of the city. If you go to a smaller city, a rural area, you could get like houses, mansions, penthouses, okay? Amazing existence. That $2,000 a month apartment you had in the US, that was probably like maybe a 1-2 bedroom, not a great part of town. You're not living the ritzy life. But here, you've got like a nice place in the best part of town, next to all the good stuff, okay? Bogota, for example, $1,000 a month gets you an awesome place, okay? Medellin's going up a little bit, but still, like Medellin, Cartagena, any rural places in Colombia, Korea, you could easily get a really nice place in Seoul for $1,000 a month, okay? No problem. So your rent's now $1,000 a month, and that's going to be your biggest expense, and we're going to see that here. Let's talk about car. Well, you don't own a car, okay? You sold your car. So that gave you some excess cash, or you gave it away, or whatever. You're not driving it. So you don't have that expense anymore. You now take Ubers and taxis. Okay, let's say you do it a lot. You do a lot, you know, of that stuff, okay? Maybe per month you take a couple Uber rides, okay, in these places. That adds up to about, let's say that's $150 a month now on transportation, okay? But you no longer have that pesky car payment. That's basically what you were paying for. Insurance, gas, I mean, this is just your gas bill, not even your full gas bill living in the United States. So now that takes care of that. Let's talk about food. Food on the whole is just cheaper everywhere else. So we're talking about groceries plus eating out. Let's say you're eating really well. You're going to nice restaurants. You get high quality food, high quality groceries. Let's say your food budget is like, and going out budget's like $400. Okay, $400 a month. That's actually a lot. But, you know, we're supposed to be living nice now that we're doing this. So that's about $400 a month. Let's talk about dating. You're spending the same amount of money, but now you can go on like 2 or 3 times as many nice dates, do 2 or 3 times as many cool things. So, you know, we'll put $200 for there. Your phone plan, if you get your phone plan locally, you can have a lower quality of phone. You have Airbnb, internet, all that stuff's all included. So you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Cable, that's all that stuff's included with the Airbnb. So maybe your phone plan is like, after all said and done, is $100 a month. Okay, let's kind of round up in this case as well. So you're paying $100 for phone. Let's say you're paying for $200 worth of like miscellaneous stuff. You just clothes, things you needed, whatever, medical insurance, emergencies. Okay, we'll put $200 in there. That's going to cover like most of your costs at that point. So if we got 1,000 plus 150, and 1,000 is like high end for rent, okay, in these places. 1,150, 1,550, 1,750, 1,850. Okay, we're looking at about $2,050. Okay, and so we're going to round it to 2,000 to make all the math easier. But guys, living in these places at $2,000 a month, okay, not that hard. Okay, and you're going to be living a high quality of life. So you're spending about $2,000 a month living a super high quality of life. When before we were paying about, $3,500 a month, and you're living like a very mid quality of life. But you're making $3,000, okay, after taxes. So let's do some basic math here. 3,000 minus 2,000. Okay, $1,000 is what you're making in savings, about 33% savings rate. Times that by 12, you're saving double what we were saving before. You're saving about $12K per year living like this. Okay, now for that $40,000 down payment that you need for the home, it's going to take you about 3.5 years to make it there. So you're cutting your time to home ownership in half if you take this approach. And these are really rough numbers. And if you want to say, oh, you missed an expense here, or it was overestimated here, okay, the point is it's a quicker route to home ownership, wealth in the US, a better life in the US, than staying and slaving in the US with the cost of living there. And you guys know this to be true. You know how expensive things are in the United States. And I even factored in, you took a pay cut, okay? A lot of people, they already work remote, or they have the ability to work remote and they just don't, or they don't take advantage of it. I'm assuming you also took a pay cut, okay? If you didn't take the pay cut, or you have a skill that you can transition to a different job like sales, or you keep your salary because you run your own business, okay, imagine you were saving $2,000 per month. You're saving $24,000 a year. You can make that down payment in like a year and a half, okay? So this quick exercise was to show you that because you're going and living abroad for a while, one, you don't have to do it forever. You have options coming back to the US. But two, it's actually a quicker route to success in the US than staying in the United States because of the cost. Okay, and this is all just financial numbers. I'm not factoring in quality of life standards, dating, how much better your dating life is, social life can be if you also live abroad as well. I'm factoring all those things out. This is just pure money, pure numbers, okay? So run this experiment with yourself is what I would suggest. Think about the places that you would like to travel to and live abroad that I've talked about. Okay, I also have a 6-part free training in the description down below if you want to check that out for a 6-part video series on how to best move and live abroad as a Christian man and be successful with your finances, with dating. I break it all down in that video series. So go check that out there and start crunching the numbers. If it makes sense for you, start looking into it and start considering it. So thank you for watching this video. Let me know what you think down in the comment below if you would consider this, if you're going to crunch the numbers yourself. This is the number crunching I did when I started looking into this and looking into different forms of lifestyle. And this is the results I came up with. So thank you so much for watching. And anyways, I'll see you guys next time.